Hey everybody, Charles from HumbleMechanic.com. Today, I'm taking your questions on engine swaps, Passat trunk lids, buying tools, and more. This is episode 162 of the Humble Mechanic Podcast. All right, in order to get a question on a show like this, email me, charles@humblemechanic.com. Put question for Charles in the subject. Ask your question right at the top, then give me a little bit of space and give me all the details behind your question. That helps me do a much better job of getting through and getting to your question. Also, if you don't see your question on a show like this, be sure to check the quick videos playlist on YouTube, where I generally take my cell phone and answer one question at a time. I'm also now just noticing this cylinder head peeking out of the corner of the shot. This is the cylinder head that came out of a Jetta that I bought for an engine swap for the Cabriolet engine swap. So I'm going to be doing a video on this one, as well as the one that got refreshed for the GTI. That's probably going to be the next Wookie video. So keep a lookout for that, but I just wanted to point out what the heck this little thing in the corner of your screen was. All right, let's talk about the sponsor of the day, which is CRP Automotive. CRP deals in a ton of OE maintenance and repair parts, timing belt kits, suspension components, and even fluids. In fact, they make the factory DSG fluid for Volkswagen and Audi. So check them out at crpautomotive.com. All right, with that wrapped up, let's get into your questions. First one comes from Carl. Is there any particular reason the 1.8 turbo is an unpopular choice for the Mark II? All I ever hear is how difficult of a job it is, especially the wiring. Is there something about the 1.8 that makes it different from the VR6 option? I have no fear of wiring and have been doing standalone swaps and drag and road courses for over 5 years, so wiring itself is not the issue. Is there something special about the 1.8 that makes it more difficult to use a standalone? The reason I'm so hard up for the 1.8 is strictly about space. I want to do a swap that allows for air conditioning. I live in Florida. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not opposed to a VR for a purpose-built track car, but as a daily weekend warrior, no AC is not an option down here. Thanks in advance. Carl, great question. So, it's really weird. I don't know how the whole VR6 swap started. I actually think the 1.8 turbo is probably an easier engine swap than the VR6. The only thing I think that probably makes the VR easier than the 1.8, well, there's probably a couple of things. One, there's companies that make kits to bolt up mounts and drop it right in the car. Eurowise being one, that's the kit I used on the Cabriolet. Because of that, companies started developing plug-and-play harnesses and all kinds of really cool stuff to make it ultra easy to just plop that VR6 right in. I think for the 1.8 though, the other hard thing is probably thinking about intercooler piping. So typically on like a Mark IV 1.8 turbo, the side mount intercooler, it has its own piping, right? Well, when you take that turbocharged engine out of that, put it in a Mark II, you have to change the positioning of the intercooler, which really is not that huge of a deal. So this is a great question that, I'll be honest, I don't really have an awesome answer for. It's interesting though, because to me, the 1.8 turbo is a simpler engine. It's a cheaper engine to make power. Now you have a V6 versus a 1.8. You can go down that whole road, but you have a turbocharged 1.8. Turbocharged 1.8. The 1.8 turbo engines are plentiful. Parts are available, till the cows come home for it. So this is a really good question that I will put out to you guys. What do you think the reason is for more VR6 swaps than 1.8 turbo swaps? And Carl, let me tell you, I don't blame you one bit at all for wanting to have air conditioning. I've been asked a lot on the Wookie if I'm going to delete the air conditioning. Absolutely not. I want this to potentially be a daily or like a weekend warrior, pretty much what you're looking to do. And man, here in the South, right, anywhere in the South, you gotta have air conditioning. All right, next one comes from Anthony. Charles, I have an '08 Passat Wagon 2.0T, and I'm having trouble with my rear deck lid on my car. When I push the button, the deck lid no longer goes up by itself anymore. Initially, the dealer told me that it was a latch not releasing and causing it not to go up. I literally have to help it by pulling the deck lid. Now, when I push it again, the deck lid will go down by itself most of the time. Question is, do you know what needs to be fixed? Any help you could offer would be great. All right, this is actually something I've ran into a handful of times. You probably got one definite bad motor and one motor that is going bad or is all but bad. If it'll move a little bit, then you definitely have one that's still doing something. But that's a pretty heavy deck lid for only one motor to lift up the whole deck. So on that generation Passat wagon, it had an automatic trunk, right? You hit the button, and it opened, and then you push the button and it closed. Over time, those motors do wear out. There's two motors. I think they're mounted just very, very close to the trim piece at the back of the trunk. It's been a long time since I've had to put one in, but I'm pretty sure those motors are just mounted right there. I remember them not being terribly challenging to swap. Take the D-pillar trims out, drop the headliner a little bit, and you can get to them. I know for a fact that the couple that I've done, I never dropped the headliner all the way out of the car. So my YouTube diagnosis is that you got two bad motors, most likely. If the button recognizes anything, so you can usually hear it on latch, then it's probably not the latch. But to be fair to the dealership, latches in our cars, like trunk latches in Volkswagens, fail pretty regularly. So that's not a terrible guess, but it was still just a guess. And I don't think I've put a ton of latches in Passat wagons anyway. Definitely done a handful of motors. So you probably got bad motors. I would recommend just putting them both in there. One other thing you can check, make sure there's nothing obstructing the hinges or anything like that. That could cause the motors to have to work a little bit harder and could restrict the movement of the deck lid. But odds are, man, you got two bad deck lid motors. All right, next one comes from Christian. Are sonic tools a good start-off set for a mechanic? I'm starting the business and looking into tool sets. I would just like to know what you think. Thanks for the great videos. You're teaching me so much. Christian, thank you so much for that, man. I really do appreciate that. So, sonic tools, are they a good starter set? Yes, they're actually a really great starter set. What I love about sonic tools, and for those of you guys that haven't maybe seen the review I did or the tour that I did on the box that I have, I'll link it up so you can check that out. The best thing about these tools is their organization. And this is something that, as a new tech, can be pretty intimidating. One, you don't know what you need. Two, you don't have any idea how to organize it efficiently. And then what tends to happen is you learn from the people around you and see how they organize their stuff. And it could be good. You could work with some incredibly organized people and incredibly efficient people, or you could work with people that have a roll cart that looks like this. I love it for that. I think the organization is top notch. I think their tools are really good quality tools. They make some good stuff. I've been using them nonstop on the Wookie build and haven't ran into one single broken tool or one time where something didn't fit or damaged a fastener or broke. So I've been pretty impressed with them so far. Now, depending on what you're going to be doing, they have entire boxes dedicated to different brands. So I think they're working with like Porsche Canada. I know they're a big overseas working with Volkswagen, Audi, but I can't state enough that I love the way everything's organized. It makes putting tools away way easier. It's also really nice to be able to just glance in a drawer and notice when something's missing, because as a new tech, I promise you, you are going to lose tools. So it makes it nice to just open the drawers really quick, glance down, do a quick inventory, and then pull the car out of the bay. If you don't have your stuff organized, that is very, very challenging. So, man, good luck to you in the industry. I hope it works out really well. And again, I'll link up to all that stuff for you to check it out. All right, next one comes from Bud. How common is it for the dealer service departments to install aftermarket repair parts? Hey Charles, thanks for the awesome videos. I was recently at a parts department of a non-VW mainline dealership asking about a fuel pump for my wife's car. After apologizing about the price, he told me that most of the fuel pumps that they install come from AutoZone. How common is it for self-paying customers to receive aftermarket parts? Is this ever done for warranty repairs? Are customers notified that non-manufacturer parts are being used? This is actually a great question. So, can aftermarket parts be installed at a dealership? Sure. Dealerships can get parts from anywhere. Dealerships can order stuff from SSF, order stuff from Worldpac, order stuff from AutoZone, all the places, right? ECS Tuning, wherever. Shop DAP, all of them. We can order stuff from and install stuff from anywhere. And I have no problem with that at all, as long as we do a couple of things. First and foremost, we make sure that we tell the customer. If we're doing aftermarket stuff as a dealership and not telling a customer, I have a problem with that, because my mindset of a customer is, I'm going to the dealer to get factory parts, to get OEM parts. And if I go there and don't get that when I expect that I am, that becomes kind of a sticky situation. The other thing is, when a repair is done at a Volkswagen dealership, that carries a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty. So if, let's say, I'm here and I travel to Florida and something breaks on my car, the dealership in Florida needs to be able to warranty that. If aftermarket parts are installed, the dealership might not be able to warranty the repair that was done here. So that's why you'll see a lot of dealerships not install anything outside of a factory part. Gets different when a customer brings their own part, then whatever, we'll install it for the most part. Still won't come with a warranty, and things can get kind of hairy if maybe it doesn't fit right or that part doesn't fix what problem they had. So that's pretty rare too, but I can tell you if you walked into my dealership, you would probably see aftermarket parts. The main reason is that we have a used car tech. So he could work on a Ford, a Nissan, a Toyota, a Honda, and a Chevy all before lunch. So we're getting oil filters, we're getting brakes, we're getting wiper blades, we're getting all that, and typically that kind of stuff would be aftermarket. So it's not uncommon to see that stuff at a dealership. It never happens for warranty because you can almost guarantee the claim would get kicked out. They all have to match what the brand says need to be replaced. So if we put a tie rod on a Jetta and the part number isn't for a factory tie rod under warranty, then Volkswagen won't pay the claim. The dealership has to basically pay for it. So let me rephrase that. It shouldn't really ever happen under warranty. All right, got time for one more. This is not really a question, more of a tip. This one comes from Jeff. Hey, Humble, just watched 161. Always like your stuff. I isolate belt squeaks by spraying a light amount of penetrant on the belt while it's running. If the squeak goes away or gets quieter, you can pretty much call the belt the culprit. No change is most likely a pulley. Jeff, that's a pretty good tip. I do something similar. I'll take usually the bottle of water that I'm drinking out of and pour a little water on it. That can also change the decibel or change the tone of a belt noise. So good tip from Jeff. I don't really have a ton more to add. I'll link up 161 if you guys want to check out the full question that Jeff's responding to, but I thought that was a pretty good tip. And Jeff, thanks for that one, man. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Hey, if you like the video, throw it a thumbs up on YouTube. I always appreciate that. You can also subscribe on YouTube or on the blog at humblemechanic.com. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on Snapchat. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I got a new pocket screwdriver. I'm not going to say too much more about it, but hopefully you can see what this says on it. Oh, also no drink of the day because I forgot to bring a drink out. Plus, it's like way early in the morning, so it would either be water or coffee, but I got nothing.